Good evening, everyone. And of course, welcome back to yet another very exciting episode of Red Pill News Live. Hope you guys are having a lovely day. All right, well, we've got some new information coming to us from the administration. We've got several updates in regards to some ongoing stories that we've spoken about recently. We also have a tragic announcement about another mentally unstable person in Rhode Island. A trans shooter, yet again, another one. This one is a little bit more complicated, so we are going to talk about it, but God, I hate having to talk about these things. We have a mental health crisis in the United States of America. That's the one thing that I need. Somebody says they want to see Trump dancing. I don't think I have Trump dancing on this particular one, other than in the introduction. All right, if you guys could do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the thumbs up, hit the red pill, whatever it might be. And we've got a jam-packed show for you today. Really excited to highlight for you the ongoing measurable results of the Trump doctrine, the Don Road doctrine, as you might say. So sit back, relax, and grab your popcorn, and we're going to get into it right about now. The rules of money are quite literally being rewritten right in front of your eyes. And those institutions that control the financial system are not waiting. They're not warning, and they are not wishing. They're acting. Right now, buying gold and silver at an unprecedented pace. You see, they're preparing for something, but the question is, are you? And for nearly a decade, Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver, because as that world shifts to hard assets, the window to act is closing. So let Noble Gold show you how simple it is to protect yourself and your family. And while everyone else is reacting to the news, Noble Gold clients are already positioned. They understand that when the rules change, you need assets that don't depend on the system. So visit noblegoldinvestments.com/redpill78 and download your free wealth protection kit today. Once again, that's noblegoldinvestments.com/redpill78. The rules are changing. Make sure you're ready. And when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, my friends, welcome back. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Got to give a special, quick couple of thank yous over here to our friends on Pilled. Filter Dog 1, thank you very much for the can, and also Hogleg 71, thank you for the cookie, rather. Dang it, and why is it not going to the correct? There we go. That's what I wanted to see. All right, thank you for the cookie. Thank you for the can. Appreciate you guys. And let me just do a quick refresh on my screen over here. All right. Now, I would like to begin today with a story that began as an anonymous post on 4chan 3 years ago today. Now, I spoke about this at the time, and it was not known whether or not this story had any legs to it. Of course, nothing really came out about it. In fact, recently, in the last couple of months, I saw a advertisement. It was a video advertising a service which seems very similar to this. The guy who made it was a former Disney star, and let me see, former Disney star AI app. Let me see if I can find that for you, because it's real creepy. Yeah, okay, I just found it. So let me play this ad for you. I think this is, everyone here is probably going to be very uncomfortable with this ad. But, oops, that was the wrong button. Close the, oh no! Edit, history, reopen last closed window. Oh my God, what happened to all of my freaking links? Oh my God. What? I can't believe that just happened. Oh my God, there it is. There it is. What the heck is going on? It like literally hid everything that I had prepared for the day. Holy shit, that really just rocked my world for a moment. Okay, now that I have everything sorted again, let me show you guys this ad because this is really, really disturbing. And it's highly relevant to the first story we're going to talk about.
He's getting bigger. See?
Oh, honey, that's wonderful.
Kicking like crazy.
He's listening. Put your hand on your tummy and hum to him. You used to love that.
It feels like he's dancing in there.
Oh, honey. Oh.
Mom, would you tell Charlie that bedtime story you always used to tell me?
Once upon a time, there was a baby unicorn who didn't know he knew how to fly. This baby unicorn was like your mom because she didn't know that she knew how to fly, but she knew how to do all kinds of fabulous things.
Hi, Grandma.
Hey, Charlie. How was school today?
It was really fun. I made this crazy shot in basketball.
I don't really care that much about basketball. What about the crush?
Stop. Grandma, stop talking.
Just tell me one thing.
Look who's gonna be a great grandmother.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, congratulations.
She says that he's been kicking a lot, though. Like, a little too much.
Tell her to put her hand on her tummy and hum to him. You loved that.
You would have loved this moment.
You can call anytime.
It's like the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
Okay, Mom, I just need a quick video.
Is this like an audition or something?
No, Mom, just 3 minutes.
You need my best side?
Can I sing another one?
I can play the piano.
She's so talented.
I am. I'm your mother after all.
Keep going. Why don't you start by telling us
With
a little bit
two-way,
about yourself.
3 minutes can last forever. I don't know that. I don't even know if this is available on the App Store. Hang on, let me actually check and see. Let's see. Two-way. Yes, it is. It's only got 2.5 stars, so I don't know that it works all that well. But as you can see, the product in that advertisement is for an AI clone of yourself with the intention of being able to talk to that clone after your loved ones are long gone. Well, 3 years ago yesterday, an anonymous individual on 4chan made this post. I'm a Meta, which is the Facebook company, Meta Insider, working on Project Lazarus. So you can already tell from the name, it is the exact same type of product. We are building an AI that can take over a deceased person's social media accounts and continue making relevant posts as if that person is still alive. This includes age-progressed photos, interacting with other people's content, and everything else needed so that the person continues on in the digital realm after physical death. We were originally told this would be a service offered to people struggling with the loss of loved ones and people who had missing children. Seemed like a decent idea. Well, things are getting weird now, and I'm having second thoughts about what this is actually going to be used for. This AI is extremely capable of impersonating people. It doesn't take as much initial input as one might think to train the AI how a certain person interacts with the digital world. It's very convincing. An entire island of people could go missing, and with little to no downtime, the AI could take over all of their social media, and the world wouldn't have a clue that life wasn't just continuing as usual. A lot of the project is becoming more compartmentalized. Things have taken a dark turn, it feels like. They've forbidden communication between people working on different things. Something isn't right, and I don't know what I should do. I'm not going to post any personally verifiable information, but I will try to answer questions that won't expose my role within the project. So, varying reactions to this post. I mean, I see this and immediately it rings to me as true. I completely believe that Meta, Facebook would be working on a program such as this. I can also see the much darker implications, the ways that it could be used to either create videos, posts, pictures, you name it, digital media that could be used to pretend it was you, but it never was actually you. So it could be used for in purposes of blackmail, incrimination. Of course, there's also like the very Black Mirror aspect of having a loved one who's passed on that would continue on in the digital realm. I don't want to log on to Facebook. I mean, like, I don't use Facebook anymore, but when I did have Facebook, like more than 10 years ago, I had a couple of people that I loved dearly who died. And just logging on to Facebook and seeing their profiles was disturbing enough. To see them like posting and seeing pictures of them or videos of them getting older as if they were here, or maybe this AI would, I'm certain that it would be, it'd be savvy enough. It could take a picture of a living person, make a new picture with the dead person as they have age progressed, or make a video pretending like we're hanging out or doing something in the real world, even though none of it is real. But of course, some people looked at it and they were like, no way, this is too creepy. They're never going to do this. Well, never underestimate the minds of corporate intelligence. So the reason I bring that up, well, I did not mean to close that. The reason I bring that up is because Meta, just yesterday, on the anniversary of this post, announced that they actually have created this technology. They've actually patented it. It's a new AI, which will do exactly what this 4chan poster said. It will keep a deceased person's account active, running, posting, messaging, and video calling by replicating the behavior that person has exhibited on Facebook and the internet in the past. Now, what's kind of interesting to me is the idea that a lot of people behave one way online and then they are totally different offline. There's a lot of keyboard warriors, a lot of people who maybe troll harder when they're behind a screen. They might seem a little bit braver, perhaps a lot more willing to talk shit to somebody who in real life would probably knock them out cold. And then, of course, I think about when MySpace first came out. I thought that it was the most funny thing in the world. I basically used it as a comedic outlet. Because they had these, they were blog posts essentially. And so I used it like a fake public diary of me talking about things happening in my life that weren't real. And to me, they were so ridiculous. It was such an obvious troll, but people just take shit way too seriously, and they saw it and they were like, I can't believe you're saying or admitting these things online. And I was like, I can't believe that you believe that this is a true story. I mean, like, geez, oh, Pete, you guys need help. But this is honestly what happens. I mean, people see things on the internet and they just take it for granted. And so the concept of this as a product is very dystopian and highly disturbing. I can only imagine. Precious Freedom did the same thing on MySpace. Yeah, MySpace was fun because you could like crazy customize everything. You'd have songs play when people showed up on your page. I try to have like just a super loud, blaring, annoying song so that people wouldn't know what to do when they got to the page. Anyways, I thought it was funny. But yes, I find this to be very, very disturbing. And I wonder how it's going to be monetized. There's a specific episode of Black Mirror where a person is about to die. Man's wife is about to die. Or actually, I believe she was like in an accident and she was brain dead. But they've come up with a technology which would allow her to continue living. It's just that they have to implant a chip in her head, so then she would be conscious. But she also has to be within a range of the towers, almost like cell service. So if they go outside of the range of the towers, then she goes back into a vegetative state. And then when they get back near the signal again, she wakes up. Well, then they start increasing the cost of the service. They start charging more and more and more. And this guy is so desperate to continue having access to his wife, even though she should have died several years earlier, that he starts doing horrible things like pulling his teeth out on live stream so people will pay him for it. It was absolutely insane. Great episode. I think it might be where we're going as a society. But yeah, I wonder, like, what's going to happen when people subscribe to a service like this the people living in the lives of those who have passed. And then maybe they develop a sort of fondness or addiction to something like this. Is it going to start out free and then they're going to just charge $10 a month? Of course, who wouldn't pay $10 a month to continue talking to grandma? Well, I just want to keep grandma alive on Facebook long enough so that she can meet her grandchildren. And then they meet the grandchildren. And then they start raising the price to $20 a month, $50 a month. And then you've got add-ons. Well, if you want the calls, then you've got to add another $5 a month. If you just want posts on Facebook, well, then that's only, $10 a month. Anyways, there's all sorts of different ways this could go. And I think that Facebook has a monetization problem as it is, so they would probably be willing to go in whatever direction is going to give them the greatest amount of monetization. All right, now, moving on from that, I do have a very quick message from our friends over here on Rumble. My friends, they can take your accounts, they can freeze them, they can shut off your cards, they can lock you out of your own money, they can do it overnight because banks don't protect you. They control you, and that's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing the Rumble Wallet, it's a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control, because with Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Tether, you can also own Tether Gold. That is real gold on the blockchain. And through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. It's not paper gold. It's not an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can even be redeemed for physical gold bars. That is powerful. And when you support creators like myself on Rumble, you can tip them directly from the Rumble Wallet app. It's peer-to-peer. It's outside the banking system. No permission, no middlemen, no cancel button. The wallet is yours forever. So if you want to check it out, go to wallet.rumble.com, use the QR code that you see on screen if you're on Rumble, or just use that address, or you can go to the Rumble Wallet app in the App Store on your phone. Thank you very much. And also thank you to Missy Brash, who says, Zach, we women take years learning to ride the dragon. Trans men can't handle it. And yes, I have to be perfectly honest with you. I think that is a large part of what we see. When you start injecting endogenous hormones into the bodies of people who do not naturally produce them in the levels that are required to give the secondary sex characteristics that are a result of transitioning or whatever, I think that it sends people's brains in the wrong direction. Before we get to that story, though, President Trump announced earlier today that the massive trade deal with Japan has officially just launched. So now they are financially moving towards the first set of investments under that $550 billion deal that President Trump made with them so that they could invest here in the United States of America. President Trump says this is part of our historic trade deal to revitalize the American industrial base, create hundreds of thousands of great American jobs, and strengthen our national and economic security like never before. Today, I am pleased to announce 3 tremendous projects in the strategic areas of oil and gas in the great state of Texas, power generation in the great state of Ohio, and critical minerals in the great state of Georgia. The scale of these projects are so large and could not be done without one very special word: tariffs. The gas power plant in Ohio, a state I won 3 times, will be the largest in history. The LNG facility in the Gulf of America will drive exports and further our country's energy dominance. And our critical minerals facility will end our foolish dependence on foreign sources. America is building again, America is producing again, and America is winning again. This is a very exciting and historic time for the United States of America and Japan. Congratulations to all. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Absolutely love to see President Trump's promises being delivered upon. Now, another little subset of the foreign issues that we've dealt with since President Trump came back to office is the question of Cuba. A lot of people were speculating that we were going to bomb Cuba. We were going to go do something terrible to Cuba. But, President Trump doesn't want to go to war. He wants to make deals. And President Trump announced on a trip on Air Force One that he and the administration are currently engaged in conversations with Cuba. Actually, it's Marco Rubio who is leading the conversation with Cuba.
We're talking to Cuba right now. I have Marco Rubio talking to Cuba right now, and they should absolutely make a deal because it's really a humanitarian threat. And we have a lot of great Cuban Americans, and they're going to be very happy when they're going to be able to go back and say hello to their relatives and do things that they should have been allowed to do for a long time. I'm very interested in the people that are here that were treated so badly by Castro and the Cuban authorities. They have been treated horribly. So we'll see how it all turns out.
So, as you are aware, the United States has had a blockade on oil to and from Cuba. A oil refinery in Cuba recently caught fire. They're probably not in a very good position when it comes to energy. So the best thing that they could hope for would be to normalize relations with the United States of America. And frankly, it's the best thing we could hope for as well, because ultimately what the Don Road Doctrine states is that we have essentially control of our sphere of influence, which is, this portion of the globe. And so President Trump really does want to have good relations with Cuba. At the same time, he wants to lift the people of Cuba out of the position they've been in under a communist ruler. Of course, I've never been to Cuba. I don't know exactly how bad it is, but I've only heard horror stories from people that have escaped Cuba. I've seen some footage. Now, Cuba has done quite a bit in terms of outreach and propaganda because they don't have the ability to make money like a traditional country would. They're basically surrounded by water in the Caribbean. What they end up doing is training doctors, and then they send those doctors out to nations all around the world. And then the Cuban government collects the money that those doctors make, and then they use it as part of their GDP to fund projects and all of that stuff. It's not a lot, but the fact that Cuba has been sort of cut off from the rest of the world for so many years, it has created some really industrious people who have come up with some unique solutions for things that I think would be welcome here in the United States. I mean, they largely are running on cars that were built in the 1950s, and they're still going. All of their electronics, washing machines, fans, all that stuff is ancient compared to what we're using here. But it's a testament to the quality of those products from when we used to produce them, back before everything was disposable. As long as you can get parts in Cuba, those people can basically fix anything. And for relations to be normalized and for everything to be cool would just mean that we would have yet another trading partner. And of course, the influence of the American brand of Republican capitalism would be able to exude onto the streets of Cuba, and it would be difficult for their government to do anything other than kind of emulate what we want them to do. Of course, we don't need to control them. However, there is a better way of life, and I think that's what we're going to show them. I need to say thank you to Patrick D35, who says Amazon has a show called Upload that deals with uploading a person's consciousness before they die, and it has different levels of monetization for their comfort. Was pretty funny. Now it seems really crazy. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. AOB22, good to see you, homie. AI loved ones that are gone, hail to the no. They can't do chores around the house or mow the lawn. I expect the AI versions would bitch and moan about a honey-do list. You're probably correct there. I think that would probably happen. All right. Now, I also want to say thank you to Smot Poker, who says, good afternoon, beautiful patriots. Good to see you. 123 SKG. Thank you for the can. Moon Baby says, almost forgot the entrance. Cookie, thank you for the news, RP. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. All right, we have an update for you on the situation with the Maricopa County Recorder, Justin Heap, and the corrupt Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. It would appear that the Maricopa County Republican Party's executive board has met in an emergency session regarding the escalating tensions and the fact that the Board of Supervisors is trying to oust the publicly and popularly elected county recorder, Justin Heap. The board unanimously issued a statement following the communications they made to the Board of Supervisors, to the Arizona Senate President and Speaker Montenegro. It appears that the GOP in Arizona is currently going to war with the Board of Supervisors. They are lining up in support of Justin Heap, and the Board of Supervisors is merely a group of corrupt bureaucrats. So Hopefully, this will be enough to put the pressure on them. Now, there is one individual on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors who has broken with the board. He has hired his own legal counsel because he doesn't want to go along with the stated goal the rest of the supervisors have, which is to get rid of Justin Heap. They've already stripped him of some powers and I think even his ability to oversee elections. So looks like he is aligning with Justin Heap and most likely with the larger Republican Party. But they write here, the Honorable Warren Peterson, President of the Arizona Senate at the state Capitol. Dear President Peterson, we write to you regarding the escalating conflict between Maricopa County Recorder Justin Heap and the Board of Supervisors. As you are aware, your previous amicus brief in support of Recorder Heap in the case Heap versus Galvin demonstrated strong legislative leadership in upholding the plain language interpretation of Arizona election laws. We now implore you to continue standing with Recorder Heap as this situation spirals further out of control. The board's actions have grown increasingly heavy-handed, including recent subpoenas to Recorder Heap's staff, demands for his sworn testimony on operational and budgetary matters, and explicit threats to remove him from office if he does not comply by an arbitrary deadline. Those developments, widely reported in the past several weeks, represent an unprecedented power grab that deviates from statutory duties and the will of Maricopa County voters. Such tactics not only intimidate elected officials, but also sow discord throughout the county, eroding confidence in our electoral system at a critical time. We respectfully request the Arizona Senate, under your leadership, reaffirm its support for Recorder Heap through additional statements, resolutions, or legislative measures to protect his statutory authority. Your intervention is essential to prevent further chaos and ensure that election administration remains transparent, secure, and aligned with the voters' mandate. And then they wrote the same letter to the Honorable Steve Montenegro at the House of Representatives. So that's good to see. I'm glad that they're not just going to allow this guy to be bounced out of office when he was handily elected by the people of Maricopa County. All right. Now, here we are with the very tragic story coming out of Rhode Island. A transgender man, a man who identifies as a woman, went to a hockey game that his ex-wife and his two children were at, because I believe his son was playing in the hockey game, and then he proceeded to shoot them. Very, very tragic. He killed all three of them during this high school hockey game. This is at Lynch Arena in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Isn't Pawtucket featured in Family Guy? I guess Rhode Island's not huge, so that would make sense if it was. This happened on Monday, yesterday. So the shooter is Robert K. Dorgan, who goes by Roberta Esposito or Roberta Dorgano. And here is a video from the scene. This is local police talking about the tragedy of what happened.
So what I can say right now that we have identified the person, the suspect, by a birth name. The birth name was Robert Dorgan. We have also learned that the person does go by the name of Roberta, also uses a last name of Esposito. But again, that will be all confirmed throughout the course of the investigation as to their status. That really doesn't have anything to do with the investigation.
Are you sure about that? I'm pretty sure that the status of that person honestly does have quite a bit to do with this investigation. I mean, this man was mentally ill. There's really no other way that you can stack these chips. He was a biological man. He identified as a woman, transitioned surgically in 2020. He had 6 children with his ex-wife. His ex-wife was very unhappy. She lost her husband. The kids lost their father. And what's even weirder about it is that he appears to have been a Trump supporter, but also even weirder, the day before the shooting, he actually responded to Alex Jones on X. Alex must have been replying to something related to a transgender subject, and Roberta Dorgano, or Robert Esposito, whatever his name is, Robert replies, STFU, shut the fuck up, Alex. Don't be so butthurt over somebody different, then wonder why trans people go effing berserk. He also had replied to Kevin Sorbo saying, keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk. And you can see here from the pictures, I mean, this is a guy. This is just a guy who got implants. Like he's not trying really hard, it doesn't appear. Maybe he's got a little bit of lipstick on. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like this guy, he's one of those people that just kind of gets sexual gratification from presenting in one form or another as a woman. He also talked on X about carrying guns, and, you know, he also, and again, he appears to be somewhat right-wing, although I guess that he had the Gateway Pundit blocked, so he didn't care for their reporting, probably because they reported on the preponderance of trans-identified shooters. He did have his penis removed as part of his surgery, but you can see here on this post from the Gateway Pundit where Laverne Cox, who was a trans-identifying individual, he said, trans my whole life, post-operation, back Trump 100%, love America, they don't stand for me, they don't speak for me, F these commie assholes. And he also was a big supporter of Thomas Massey. Aidan Kearney, who is also known as Turtle Boy, wrote that Robert had written, my wife says she hates the person who stole her husband. I think it's extremely important to take special care of those who stand by us, listen and understand what they are going through for our sake. And yes, here, trans woman, 6 kids, wife not thrilled. Of course the wife isn't thrilled. I mean, to have 6 kids with a man and then have them wake up in their 40s or 50s and suddenly they want to get their dick cut off and get some implants. I mean, you know, here's the thing. I believe that this whole thing stems from some really, really unaddressed trauma that many of these people end up going through. It's unfortunate that this is the direction that society has pushed them into. I feel like it's a giant experiment. There are also people who I think gain sexual gratification from the act of transitioning people. There are people who are sexually gratified. It's like a kink to become a woman. And then there are people who their kink is to make people into women. And yeah, so it's a big mess. It's a big freaking mess. Now, we also have a history of domestic disputes with Robert. We can go back to early 2020, and Dorgan went to the North Providence Police Department and reported that he had recently undergone gender reassignment surgery and that his father-in-law wanted him out of their North Providence home because of it. And what the hell is somebody doing paying for reassignment surgery if they don't even own their own house? Right? I mean, like, take care of your family first and foremost. I mean, oh, good Lord. He said that his father-in-law, also named Dorgan, threatened to have him murdered by an Asian street gang if he did not move out of the house. Wow. He said he had lived at the home for 7 years, told police that the father-in-law told him, this is a direct quote, there's no goddamn way a tranny is going to stay in my house. Oh, man. The father-in-law was charged with intimidation of witnesses and victims of crimes and obstruction of the judicial system. Prosecutors later dismissed the charge. Around the same time, Dorgan's then-wife, Rhonda Dorgan, filed for divorce. Under grounds for divorce, Rhonda initially wrote, gender reassignment surgery, narcissistic personality disorder traits were the reasons that they were not going to be reconcilable in terms of their marriage. And the marriage broke down and he was gone. Now, I do want to go on record and say that not all trans people are crazy, all right? There are just a lot of them, and it's very unfortunate. It's called pattern recognition. It's a real thing. You can see it across various groups. There are certain behaviors and patterns that are that are overrepresented in certain groups, and that's just the fact of it. But it doesn't mean they're all going to be like Robert here. Robert is just what many of them are in the modern age. Some trans people would defend kids with their last breath. Thank you. I'd fight for kids with my last breath. 6 breaths, tears of joy, nonstop, indescribable. That was only February 9th. February 9th, he's talking about protecting kids, and then on February 15th, he shoots 2 of them dead while his ex-wife watches, and he does it in a public forum at the ice hockey rink. My goodness, it's just terrible, terrible situation. There's not much good you can say about it. Here is one of the children.
Shot my family. And he's dead now.
She described that shooting suspect as her father. She came out of the police department behind me here in tears after presumably being interviewed by police.
My father was a shooter.
What happened?
Shot my family. And he's dead now.
What was the reasoning? Was there a family argument?
He has mental health issues.
So yes, she goes on to describe those mental health issues a little bit more. She says that he had been struggling with mental health for quite some time. She said, quote, he was very sick.
The really tragic part of the story is obviously the kids who are dead, the ex-wife who is dead, but even more so the kids who are still alive. You got 4 more kids who have to reconcile the fact that not only did they lose their father several years earlier, their father went headlong into his mental illness and then took that illness and the pain that he had inside him. And I can only imagine what must have happened to that guy to push him down that road. And now those 4 kids are going to have to live with that for the rest of their lives. You know, this is not a large community, okay? I mean, like, people are going to know them. They're going to know him. They're going to know the whole thing. It looks like you just sent... so Emerald Dragon sent me a video, which is that video. Oh, my gosh. The moment where he shot them is on camera. I do know that... the only reason more people weren't killed is because a good Samaritan stopped him. Unfortunately, it wasn't until after he had already shot the 2 kids and the mother. Really, really awful. You know, I don't know that I want to play the video of the shooting. I'm gonna not play the video of the shooting. Yes, nothing is large in Rhode Island. That's correct. Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. Emerald Dragon, thank you very much. Yes, Family Guy does feature in Pawtucket. Peter works at the Pawtucket Brewery. Okay, there we go. Lee Walden says, you got to be out of your freaking mind to want to cut your dick off. What's his name? Woody. Yeah, you know, this is actually something that I have heard people who regret the decision come out and talk about later. Because, you know, again, these people are mentally ill. And I think that they are manipulated by healthcare providers, doctors and clinicians who tell them that their confusion with life is only going to be fixed by changing what they innately are to mimic something else, because you don't ever truly become that which you seek. You can remove your penis and you can have an operation, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be a simulacrum or, you know, a one-to-one copy of a woman's vagina. And there are many of these people who lose all sexual stimulation when they do this because, I mean, frankly, you are taking your sex organ and you are removing it or you are inverting it. And there is a series of operations. Oftentimes they need revisions. It needs to be fixed. You can have an issue where the colon is perforated. And then, of course, that's a whole host of other problems. You've got poop coming out where it isn't supposed to. I mean, there are so many different things that can go wrong because they don't know what they're doing. That's why I say it's an experiment. I mean, they've just been like, we're going to get healthcare. We're going to get insurance companies to pay for this. We're going to get public health organizations to pay for this. And then we're also going to have people who we've talked into it. They're going to be willing to pay top dollar to have themselves mutilated. And the whole time we can practice. We can, yes, infections, chronic infections. There's just a lot that can go wrong. There's a lot that can go wrong. So a lot of people I'm sure there are people who don't regret it, but you're probably not hearing from those people because they don't even want to tell people like, I used to be a man. I mean, like they're like, if they truly believe that they're only happy to be living life as a woman, like the last thing they want to do is go out there and broadcast to people like, hey, I had these operations and let me tell you all about it. Like that's a narcissist. Okay. Those people, they just want to go under the radar and live their life. But somebody like this, who's going out there on Twitter and making all kinds of public proclamations, I'm a woman. Like when I saw that guy, I was like, oh my God, is this the It's Ma'am guy? He looks like the GameStop trans person. It's ma'am. Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel terrible for those kids, dude. That's really the part. I mean, that's the only reason I even want to talk about it is I implore anybody out there who may be having a mental health crisis, do your due diligence. Please do not just put all of your trust and faith into some kook doctor. Like, shop around, okay? Like, go to church. Talk to your family. Like, do anything other than something that you can't undo. Because once you do, it's too late. It's over. It's over. All right. Now, Emerald Dragon, the second part of the video I sent you is the moment of the shooting. Can't see a whole lot. Okay. I don't want to play it because I'm uncomfortable with it. But I do appreciate you, though. Thank you very much for sending it. FOJC TV says, happy day one of the year of the fire horse. Fans of Jimmy Century, love is our red pill. Oh, yes, much love. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you very much. The year of the fire horse. The year of the fire horse. I'm going to have to look into that. Yes, I actually did see a figure today about the percentage of the American population that was in insane asylums. And I forgot to bookmark it. Let me see if I can find this again, because based upon the population of the United States of America and the percentage and the number of people who are in asylums compared to how many were in asylums when they were widely spread throughout the country, there should be a lot more people. I don't have it. I don't know where it is, but well, probably somebody else, maybe for the same reason, maybe an entirely different reason, who should have been in an asylum, is this guy right here. Incident occurred earlier today at the west front of the U.S. Capitol building. Officers arrested a young man who appeared to rush the Capitol with a shotgun. Maryland Avenue was temporarily closed down for a period of time. I do have a clip of what appears to be Capitol Police discussing exactly what happened. There was very little information that came out when this was first announced, so let's take a listen.
Absolutely. So just afternoon today, a gentleman parked in the 100 block of Maryland Avenue in a white Mercedes SUV. He exited the vehicle. With a shotgun. And
hold on. A shooter, he got out of a white Mercedes SUV. You know that he's a spoiled liberal.
Began running towards the Capitol up the walkway just behind.
Hold on. Before we continue, Scaldwelk over on Pilled says, Zach, can I ask for prayers? Guy, Tom, I work with, had a heart attack. 2 stents put in. Everybody, please, if you would do me a favor and pray for Scaldwell's coworker, Tom. Pray for Tom that the stent operation is successful, that God will heal him and make him whole again, that Tom is going to be able to get back to life as usual, get back to work, get back to his family, and that he's going to be even better than he was before because that blood flow is going to be restored. And every single part of his body is going to be oxygenated and clean and healthy. And whatever it was that led to the need for the stents to be put in, that will also have been addressed as well. Please pray for Tom, everybody. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much. And yeah, I hope that helps. Keep us up to date. Let me know if anything happens. Also, here we go. Let's continue.
And as he approached the Capitol, police officers observed this individual, challenged him, and ordered him to drop the weapon and get on the ground, which he did comply with. He was then taken into custody by United States Capitol Police.
A couple more questions. Just in terms of the circumstances, did the individual say anything at the time of his arrest, and also how close was he to potentially pulling it?
Okay, asking if he said anything at the time of his arrest. Seems like he immediately was told to get down, boy, put that gun down, and he did.
He immediately complied from what we can see right now. I haven't been briefed on any utterances that he made during the arrest.
Just to clarify one thing, Chief, the officers who confronted the suspect, did they draw their firearms as well?
They did.
Were you able to, Jerry, might have missed a question on this, was there any kind of political motivation on this at all?
We are unaware of a motive at this time.
Okay. Last question, Chief. About how far did the suspect travel from the parked vehicle to the point of apprehension?
If you look right over here by the botanical garden, about halfway down, all the way to the Capitol steps. So, several hundred yards.
And also, was the gun loaded at the time?
It was.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you all.
All right, so I did just find some figures that I can quote for you guys. First of all, if we go back to the 1950s, when insane asylums, or just asylums, were routinely in use. 1955, we had 161 million Americans. In 2025, last check, there was 348 million Americans. And in 1955, we had 560,000 mental asylum patients. In 2025, we only had 35,000 mental asylum patients. Based upon the amount of people that we have, roughly 3 times more, there should be somewhere close to, between 1.5 and 2 million people in asylums. And I mean, you take a look at what happened in Rhode Island, and then you take a look at what they've done to the youth of America.
I'm a lesbian. They, she. They, he, non-binary, trans mask.
Bisexual. I'm just trans. I'm a gay male pup. Yeah.
Gay male pup?
Yeah.
Transgender, he, him. I'm cis, she, her.
Probably non-binary, yeah, would be the best.
What about you? Bi?
A lesbian. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I like frogs, not people. I'm sorry? I like frogs, not people.
Now, the good news is that all of this is going by the wayside. I think that the grand experiment to trans and gayify the kids, the youth of America, it's largely being extinguished. But there is going to be lasting damage that exists in society for many decades to come. And this is likely going to be something that we'll be dealing with for a very, very long time. Wounds Are Us, one of my resident health experts in the chat, she says, as a healthcare provider, there is a whole host of complications. Yeah, there are more than I could even care to elaborate upon, and some of them are devastating. I've seen some really heart-wrenching interviews with people who, they were like, this was the worst decision I ever made. I mean, like, if I could go back and talk to my younger self and tell that child, this is not what you want to do, I would. But nobody was there for them. There was no one to advocate for them. All of the adults around them were telling them, oh, you're so brave. This is such a wonderful thing that you're doing this. You're so special. You know, I mean, kids want to be praised. Kids want to feel loved. And if a kid has already been molested or abused in some fashion, and then they get mixed up in their head sexually or with their identity, and then the adults that they have around them are preying upon that weakness, and they want to sort of, I guess, flesh it out and make it fully realized, and that child is again used and abused. It's not even their fault, you know? I mean, it's so awful because you see these people, these young people who are clearly just so mixed up. And I know it's really easy for us to look at them and just say crazy people, right? But like that was a child that somebody twisted up inside. Like that didn't happen in a vacuum. That little baby did not even have a chance growing up in the environment that they did. It's really, really awful. So continuing, as a legal consultant, the legal accountability is coming for these people who push this crap. Yes, it absolutely is. Fungible Fanny, you are correct. In my opinion, the dismantling of our mental health asylums was another intentional way to destabilize our culture. Yeah, you take people who are not fit to exist in civilized society and you throw them out onto the streets, and it creates a destabilizing force. It not only puts, mentally unwell criminals out on the street who are going to victimize the normal, healthy people. It created the homelessness epidemic. It also gave birth to the homeless industrial complex that we've spoken about here on the show. Let me also say thank you to Northern Pike. I'm sure it will be sunrise somewhere here. Here's a buck towards your rooster sound effect. I do need to get a rooster sound effect on there. Thank you very much. Will to Push Forward says, Zach, there are those who literally subject children to helplessness, to be forced to take abuse with no means to endure, for the purposes to break them. Some parents thinking it can make a child compliant. It's exactly. It's so true. And again, those kids are innocent, and they grow up and they know nothing else besides the abuse that they've suffered. And so, how can we blame them for being that disturbed? Now that and that's why I think that there is a greater onus on society to fix this, to solve this, so that we can ensure that that mental illness is not passed on to the next generation. I might as well play this other clip that I saw earlier because, oh gosh, you know what? I don't think that I actually saved it, but it was basically this young woman who lived with her grandparents. She had a 6-year-old child. Doesn't appear that she was working. And she was confronting her grandfather because her grandfather raised her and telling him that because he supported ICE and because he supported Trump, he supports pedophilia and he's evil. And he's like, and she's berating him for not liking illegals because he works in construction. The illegals take their, it was absolutely insane. Just the way these people have such a level of entitlement. Speaking of illegals, take a look at this. Really horrible story. Illegal aliens broke into the home of a North Carolina man. They tied him up, they beat him, and they raped him. We have a 21-year-old named Zak Paine, and then a 20-year-old named Jonathan David Garcia Larios. This is what sanctuary policies get you, my friends. The consequences of lawless actions allowed to exist with freedom on your streets. This happened in Greenville, South Carolina. I know people who live in Greenville, okay? This is last Wednesday. These two illegal aliens broke into this dude's house. They tied him up. They beat him with a weapon, and then they sexually assaulted him. And I guess that they did it on purpose. They knew who this guy was. So the Pitt County Sheriff's Office says that 21-year-old Zak Paine and 20-year-old Jonathan David Garcia Larios have been arrested and charged in connection with this brutal home invasion. They're charged with first-degree sexual offense, first-degree kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon with the intent to kill, inflicting serious injury, and first-degree burglary. So this happened at the home where this man lived at 200 Lewis Street. According to the publication that first reported on it, Reflector, the warrants state the men injured the victim with an edged weapon, restrained him against his will, moved him from one place to another in order to inflict serious bodily injury and to commit the forcible sexual offense. The victim identified in the warrant was a male resident of the home. He was transported to EMS at ECU Health Medical Center with injuries. We don't know anything else about him. We don't know how badly he was injured. And can you imagine, as a man, getting raped by two illegal aliens? I mean, like, the last thing you want to talk about, the last story you want to have somebody bring up at Christmas. This is just horrible. I mean, I considering that they did a targeted attack on this man, perhaps he is younger, or perhaps they just saw an adult that they thought had things that they wanted, and they tracked this guy and they went after him. I don't know. Yeah, I would rather die. Yeah, nobody, who the hell would want to live through that? I mean, what's worse, getting raped by two guys or living to tell the tale, really? Northern Pike says, geez, and think what children ended up in the Mickey D's burgers. Oh, God. That's one of the most awful conspiracy theories that I have ever come across. All right, and one more story of tragic and avoidable illegal alien crime. This woman on screen was a Georgia school teacher. She was recently killed after the illegal alien that you see on the right, Oscar Vasquez Lopez, fled from ICE in an attempt to not be arrested and deported. So Monday morning, ICE agents attempted to pull over Mr. Lopez. He had already previously been issued an order of removal. That's called due process. That due process was finalized in 2024, but Mr. Lopez did not comply with that due process. He thought he was better than that, and he wanted to stay in the United States of America indefinitely. So during the pursuit, he tried to do a U-turn. He ran a red light, and he crashed into Dr. Linda Davis. She was an elementary school teacher. Davis was pronounced dead at the hospital, and Lopez was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. It's always that way. So yesterday, law enforcement was attempting to apprehend him. He's a criminal illegal alien from Guatemala. This final order of removal was handed down in 2024. They have no idea when he came into the United States. He could have been here for a year, maybe longer. During the operation, he entered a vehicle. They attempted the traffic stop. He initially complied and then fled, made this U-turn, collided with Dr. Davis, and she sustained fatal injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene. Lopez is in custody at the hospital, just got minor injuries, and he has been charged with vehicular homicide. Let's go ahead and look at the local report, because maybe they'll tell us a little bit more about Dr. Davis.
Savannah mourning the loss of a beloved educator.
That's right, and has K-8 confirming that Dr. Linda Davis was killed in a car wreck just blocks from the school at Whitfield Avenue. The cause, a man without legal status fleeing a traffic stop with immigration's enforcement. WJCL 22 News' Lydia Blackstone is live now. And Lydia, tell us more about how this crash happened.
Good evening, Greg and Shannon. The Department of Homeland Services says that a man was fleeing ICE officials when he ran a red light and took an illegal U-turn right here. This is the exit you would take when going onto the Truman Parkway. It was then that he hit and killed a Chatham County educator. Broken glass and bent car frames being taken off the roadways in Chatham County after an early morning crash. The deceased, a beloved special education teacher, Dr. Linda Davis, who worked less than a mile away at Hess K-8. While students were out for President's Day, Monday was a work day for teachers like Dr. Davis. The school responding, releasing a statement saying, "We should all expect and try to understand that there will be a variety of emotions explanations and responses as to what has occurred. The most important thing we can do is to be supportive and encourage an open expression of feelings. As for what led up,
Feelings for who? I mean, this is a school making the announcement. Do they have feels for the illegal alien that killed this beloved teacher, or are they talking about feelings for this woman who should be alive today?
to it, police say ICE officers initially attempted a traffic stop of 38-year-old Oscar Vasquez Lopez. The Department of Homeland Security says he was initially stopped, then sped away, running a red light and making an illegal U-turn, which caused the deadly collision. DHS releasing this photo, saying he was in the country illegally from Guatemala. Vasquez Lopez has been charged with reckless driving, driving without a valid license, vehicular homicide, and other offenses. ICE policy says in regards to a situation like this, ICE officials use reasonable and necessary force when someone resists arrest. ICE officers and agents prioritize safety, including the safety of the people that they arrest, and are highly trained in de-escalation. Vasquez Lopez is currently in custody in the hospital. Authorities say he did not suffer serious injuries in the crash.
He was probably wasted, to be perfectly honest with you. That's what seems to happen. People like him, I've seen so many cases of illegal aliens just drunk off their asses. They drive off recklessly, trying to get away from the police or whomever it is that's trying to pull them over. They hit somebody totally innocent, and the innocent people are the ones who die. Now I want to bring your spirits up, okay? Because this is a great account to follow, the White Papers Policy account. This is a team of analysts who are using publicly available data to determine the overall impact of some very disturbing things on Western civilization. I have some good news for you, because based upon President Trump's policies, we have seen a measurable impact in a positive direction on a number of different things. First of all, 36% of illegal aliens since President Trump came into office have stopped participating in welfare programs. 42% of them have avoided applying for welfare at all. And 11% of illegals who should not be getting welfare in the first place have fully dropped out of the program. Now, we can take a look at these numbers. Since January of 2025, and then for the last 12 months, about 1 in 10 immigrant adults say that they've stopped participating in or avoided applying for an assistance program, including 1 in 5 who live in a household with a non-citizen. So that means that even people who are just living with non-citizens, because there are new laws in place that people in your home, if they are not citizens, they cannot get welfare. If you apply for welfare, that is now criminal in some areas. You can get in trouble. But seeing that nearly half of them have just completely dropped out of the system in the last 12 months is a really good sign. Northern Pike, oh, thank you. Lee Walden, deadly ice crash my ass. Yeah, it's a deadly illegal alien crash. That guy should have stopped. Okay, the ICE officials did not force him into a U-turn and crash him into that special ed teacher. Northern Pike, you can always start the show with a rooster sound off and claim someone and claim insomnia. Just humor and satire, Zach. I do want to get a rooster sound on here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I just got to remember to do it. All right, so good news there. We've got more, though. This is not it. We've got about 38 to 40 million legal immigrants in the United States. And according to latest data, 51% of legal immigrant households are on welfare. That means 17 to 20 million legal immigrants depend on the American taxpayer in some way. So this is to say nothing about the 11 to 13 million children of those legal immigrants. It's supposed to be against the law for immigrants to be admitted to the U.S. if they risk becoming a public charge. However, that's obviously not being addressed in many years. The next step is to determine when we're going to get these people the hell out of our country. You can take a look here and see the various categories. We've seen facts and figures like this before, but we can see on these on the graph here. Blue is U.S.-born head of households. Orange is legal immigrant-headed households. And then purple is illegal immigrant-headed households. Now, among all recipients of welfare, 37% of U.S.-born households are recipients of welfare. 51% of legal immigrant-headed households are recipients of welfare, and 61% of illegal immigrant-headed households are recipients of welfare. Now, that breaks down into cash, food, Medicaid, and housing. For U.S.-born headed households, 15% are cash recipients, 22% are food recipients, 27% are Medicaid recipients, and 4% are housing assistants. For cash, for all welfare for legal immigrant, 21% are cash recipients. Illegal immigrants, also 21% of them are getting cash assistance as well. Among legal immigrants, 32% are recipients of food assistance. 44% of illegal immigrant-headed households are recipients of food assistance. Medicaid, 38% for legal immigrant households, 44% for illegal. And the largest collectors of housing assistance are legal immigrant-headed households at 6%, while 2% of illegal immigrant households are recipients of cash assistance. You can see here that we have obviously not been doing our job, or ICE, immigration, naturalization, they have not been doing their job. And this, in my opinion, is grounds for people to be deported back to their home countries. You should not be able to move to this nation or any nation and receive welfare benefits for the remainder of your life and then pass them on to your children. This is simply unsustainable, and a very large portion of our national expenditures are going to essentially give people a free ride to come into our country. But I bring it up because it is changing. Now, when it comes to visas and green card approvals for family-based immigration, which, by the way, is 70% of all legal immigration into the United States, is down across the board. And the reason is because people are being denied. Denials for green cards for a family of immigrants are up by 47%, which again is showing that President Trump's policies are working. And that is, of course, from a number of different application processes that are coming through. You've got some application times are down, some of them are up. You've got a total number of them, however, that are just down across the board. That means that fewer families of legal immigrants are coming into this country because likely they recognize now that many of those people are going to end up as wards of this state, and we cannot continue to do that. Take a look at this was the chart that I was looking for earlier. When you put it into a graphical example like this, it really does tell a much different story. Again, 165 million people in the United States in 1955, with 560,000 people in insane asylums, 348 million in the U.S. today, and only 35,000 in asylums. We need to address that as quickly as possible. Now, take a look at this. For the first time in 50 years, more immigrants left America than entered. We have an estimated 295,000 more immigrants who left the United States than entered in 2025. And it is projected that in 2026, 925,000 more will leave this year than enter. It is obviously only the start, but it is a wonderful figure that we need if we are going to address the problem of immigration here in the United States, legal and illegal both. Also, visas are down across the board. You've got a lot fewer people who are being allowed into the United States of America. This comes because there have been many countries that President Trump and the DHS have just said, we are not going to accept people from these countries. But you've got a 19% drop in H-1B visa issuances. That is highly notable. We don't like H-1B here on this channel. I don't think that that should be a thing. I would imagine that that number is going to be even higher in the near future, because now the Small Business Association, as we reported last week, as of March 1st, you are not going to be able to receive money for loans from the Small Business Association unless you're a citizen of the United States of America. That means that we're not going to have people coming from other countries, opening gas stations, and then getting 100 H-1B visas, bringing all of their friends and family members over. There's also H-4 visas. This is family of H-1B visas. Those are also down by 20%. K-1 and K-2 visas, also a different type of family visa. Those are down by 52 and 48%. Again, big changes, big dips in the numbers, which show us that President Trump's policies are moving us in the right direction. Now, I had previously reported earlier this week that HHS had open sourced the information about fraud in Medicaid and all of these various health-related programs. Bobby Kennedy just appeared. I believe this is, well, it's a podcast. I forgot the guy's name. But here he talks a little bit more about some other aspects of technology and open sourcing that they're using to determine exactly who is committing fraud, making sure that we're not handing good money after bad.
We've started out with Medicare. We're using AI, and we're using AI which can detect the fraud. You know, it can tell us whether this guy who were fraud before, and you know, we shouldn't be paying him again. And it will be telling us every aspect of his business that we need to know to understand whether it's fraudulent. So we're going to save just this year tens of billions of dollars in eliminating fraud in Medicaid.
Did somebody see the first part of my show and send a link out to Reddit or something like that? We're going to have trannies and commies showing up in the chat, big mad that I'm telling truth.
And they used to pay it under the Biden administration. The system was called pay and chase. So if they sent in a fraudulent invoice, even if we knew it was, the HHS knew it was fraudulent, they would pay it, and then they would put the inspector general to go claw it back. And of course it wasn't there, but so they never recovered anything.
Oh, I see.
Now we're not going to pay them anymore. If they're fraudulent, they're not going to get a check. We're going to save tens of billions of dollars just this year, and we're going to save hundreds of billions over annually from now on.
And that's because the AI is keeping track of that?
The AI can spot the fraud.
Got it.
And then with Medicare, with Medicaid, which is, a joint state-federal program, it's a little bit, we don't control the rails, and the states control them. And so we need state cooperation, and the red states are cooperating with us, but the blue states still won't cooperate. So that's going to take some time. And then there's categories that are much easier for us to control, like medical devices. We can do that quickly on our own, but there's other categories that are going to be much more difficult, but we will get it done within the next 3 years.
I absolutely support this very judicious and intelligent use of artificial intelligence. Obviously, one of the problems of the American experiment is that the bureaucracy of the federal government is so vast, and these programs have become far bigger than is possible for a small number of human brains to even comprehend exactly what's going on. On top of that, the fraud has also become very sophisticated. There simply isn't enough people to go out there and do site visits and figure out exactly what's going on, which is why it's so smart to ask people to give proof of work so that we can verify that things are being billed for services that have actually been rendered, which is, it's just good business. It's smart. Just like it's smart to keep an eye on who you're allowing to come into your country. For those people who think that ICE is committing genocide by enforcing the law, that's not genocide. Look up the definition of genocide, you fucking moron. That's not genocide. You can go to any other country, any other civilized country in the world, and you as an American are not just going to be given entrance and a debit card where you can pay for your rent, you can pay for your food, and you can pay for your health care. That's not how shit works. Laws exist for a reason, to ensure that the society that you apparently love and want to protect, you want America to be here for the future, well, then the laws have got to be enforced. And simply because they weren't enforced for a period of time, it's not a good reason to keep doing things the way they were, because society is sick. This country has a cancer, and we've got to cut it out. We've got to fix it if the republic is going to survive into the future. Now, continuing. I don't know if I can get this to work. Let me refresh it. Okay, there we go. All right. On the subject of fraud, we just had a case that was adjudicated in due process in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Here we had the owner of a corner store who was defrauding the SNAP program. He got away with $1.6 million, and this is just scratching the surface. Does anybody have a problem with the federal government ensuring that people are not abusing the welfare entitlement system? Because every time this happens, it takes money out of the pockets of people who truly need it. I am in favor of the social benefit system to be used when people are down on their luck, but it is not meant to be a way of life. And you should not be using SNAP benefits to buy Frito-Lays and Coca-Cola.
Prosecutors this month leveling 2 counts against Jabbar, claiming he was defrauding the SNAP food share benefits program.
I wonder if he was an immigrant.
Which is taxpayer funded out of some $1.6 million between 2022 and 2024. Prosecutors say he'd give people cash in exchange for the food benefits on their Quest EBT cards. The cash would be less than the amount of the cards, but he'd charge the state and federal government for the full amount. They say Jabbar used the money he made to pay off personal loans and credit cards, to fund his membership to a vacation club, and even spend it at retail stores like Target, Gucci, and Nordstrom. Prosecutors this month.
Target, Gucci, and Nordstrom. Let me say thank you to RugDog196. Always look forward to your show. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. So yes, every time money gets stolen, it inflates the idea that more money is needed, and the politicians that are benefiting from this continue to put more and more money into these programs. The true amount of money that may need to be set aside for some type of catch-all system to ensure that people don't starve to death or to ensure that people are not left homeless is far, far smaller than what is currently being doled out. It should be more than enough for some type of a fund to be set up. We could even fund it with tariff money, perhaps. A small amount of money goes in, that money gets invested, and then the proceeds from the investments can very easily be used to give people a helping hand when necessary. But a helping hand only so long as it allows them to get back on their feet and take care of themselves again. Instead, what we have is a society of people who abuse this system and who look at this as their full-time job. They go out there, they figure out how they can abuse the system, and then they continue to abuse the system for the rest of their lives. And then they teach their children how to abuse the system. And the same thing is happening right now with all of these Somali immigrants that are coming and many other societies of immigrants that come to the United States of America. They've realized that you can make a living off of screwing over the government, but even more importantly, screwing over the people that the government is raping for that money to help these people continue to live fraudulent existences. This guy wasn't making enough money owning a corner store. He had to do fraudulent SNAP transactions so that he could then go shop at Nordstrom's and go on holidays to the islands. I hope this guy is an immigrant so that he can be deported and stripped of his citizenship. All right, now, let's talk a little bit about, speaking of Somalians, our friend Nick Shirley was able to put together a new investigation in California where, of course, they do not require voter ID and the election laws stretch out elections for weeks at a time. In California, they've got ballot harvesting, ballot curing. They have no voter ID laws. They have universal mass mail-in ballots. They also don't bother scrubbing the voter rolls. Well, last year, an Orange County, California woman, we actually spoke about it at the time, was arrested and charged with illegally registering her dog to vote and even casting a mail-in ballot in her dog's name. Now, she was not doing it because she wanted to commit election fraud. She wanted to prove a point that it was just that easy to cast a ballot for your dog. I don't know what she signed the ballot as, but there was at least one ballot for her dog that was accepted, and the ballot was counted. She never should have been able to register that dog in the first place. But again, because this is California and they so value their ability to cheat in elections, she was able to do it. And I think she made an excellent point. I see this woman as an activist, and she sacrificed herself to essentially prove that you can cheat in California elections. Laura Lee Yarose, 62 of Costa Mesa, illegally registered her dog to vote in California and cast ballots in her dog's name in the 2021 Gavin Newsom recall election and in the 2022 primary election. Now, according to the Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer, the dog's vote was successfully counted in that 2021 election, but they rejected it in the 2022 primary. So Nick Shirley shows up. He's got another local activist who's been working on solving the problem of election fraud in California, much like his friend Dave in Minneapolis. And together, they visited some locations from California's voter rolls, and they found a whole bunch of people who were registered to vote. And of course, there was no ability to verify those people on those voter rolls. He discovered, in short, irregularities in vote numbers per location, 30 or more people registered to vote at a mailbox location. So like UPS mailboxes, PO boxes, essentially. And there were also plenty of voters that were aged at 125 years old. Now, either their information is inaccurate in the system or those people are dead and they're not actually casting a ballot. Somebody is casting a ballot in their name. Nick, of course, said that without any voter ID and negligence from the state government to update their voter rolls, California's one-party state has created a complex system where fraud is inevitable in their voting process. This is about a 20-minute video or so we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I do have a clip from a portion of the video. Northern Pike says, verse 2, Lane Staley, walking tall, machine gun man. They spit on me in my homeland. Gloria sent me pictures of my boy. Got my pills against mosquito death. My buddy's breathing his dying breath. Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell, here they come to snuff the rooster. Oh, yeah, here come the rooster. Yeah, you know he ain't gonna die. No, he ain't gonna die. That's a great song. I was just thinking about Alice in Chains the other day. All right, Harmeet Dillon, of course, has filed suit through the Civil Rights Division against Orange County Registrar of Voters Robert Page. He has refused to hand over records showing non-citizens are registered to vote and receiving ballots in federal elections. We know it's happening. Nick Shirley did an excellent job with this report. I don't think it was quite as much of a revelation as the Minneapolis report, but it is important to document these things. And maybe in doing this report, Nick can get the same kind of attention on California's election system as he got on the fraud system in Minnesota. Let's take a listen.
This building here in downtown San Diego, there's over 16 people who are registered to vote at this address right here. And would it surprise you if inside of this building alone, there's 15 people registered to vote, yet all the windows are boarded up?
Oh, one of the business was Duckett's, and I never saw anybody go in or out there.
15 people are registered to vote, and a lot of them voted in the 2024 election.
Doesn't surprise me. This is California for a reason.
Do you think voter fraud takes place here in California?
100%.
And do you trust Gavin Newsom?
No, not at all. You could tell by the way he talks. He never wants to answer a real question. Let's see, he calls ICE, basically calls them out, calls them terrorists. In some ways, I kind of hope he runs for president. That means someone else is going to get governor, and if he doesn't make it as president, his political career is done. I don't see him winning. I really don't.
Right now in Polymarket, he's leading for the Democrats as far as who's going to be the next nominee.
Yeah, Kamala was leading. Look how that went.
He's so right. Before this video came out, Nick actually went to Los Angeles. Well, he was in California for a minute. And he was on Skid Row in Los Angeles. He went to San Diego, and he showed, the problem with the homelessness there. I don't call it the homeless industrial complex for nothing. There is a tremendous amount of NGO money that is built up around the idea of homeless outreach, helping these people. There was a clip that I meant to play the other day that I never even got to, which showed this NGO homeless outreach organization. They would get donations of food from shopping centers and from private people, and then they would put those bundles of food together, and they were supposed to be handing them out to homeless people. But instead, they were just collecting the money from all of their grant positions, and then at the end of the day, they were found to just be throwing out all of this perfectly good food into dumpsters behind their NGO headquarters. And you had, of course, tons and tons of people who could have benefited from this food, might have made the difference between life and death. And rather than doing their job, doing the work that they were being funded to do, they were just throwing the food away and pretending that they were doing homeless outreach. But take a look at this. Nick runs into a family of illegals living on the streets of California. You've got a father, a mother, and a couple of kids just living in a tent on the street.
¿Ustedes son de Colombia?
Yeah, he says, are you guys from Colombia? Yes, we are Colombians. I'm going to turn this down because I have to translate. Yes, we are Colombians. How long have you been here in the USA? We've been here 2 years. Where did you guys came here? Did you think you'd be living on the street like this? Never. I thought we were going to be living a different life. We came here to change our lives. Now we're living like dogs. We aren't animals. We're human. But look, we have kids in here. Look how we live. No, he's speaking in English, so I got to turn this back up.
So here on Skid Row, we got migrants that came here from Colombia, and there's little kids here, and they live inside this tent. I imagine they didn't expect their life to be like this when they crossed over the border. ¿Ustedes pensaban que cuando cruzaron?
When you crossed the border, did you think that this would be your life?
Cruzaron por la frontera, eso iba a ser la vida?
No.
No. Y Dylan, ¿te gusta vivir aquí en los
Dylan, one of the kids, do you like living in the USA?
Estados Unidos? No. Yeah, entonces, si ustedes pasaron por mucho.
You guys thought, you guys went through a lot to get here to the USA.
Para llegar aquí a los Estados Unidos, y ahora está.
And now you're living in tents in one of the most dangerous places in the world.
Viviendo en carpas aquí en uno de los más peligrosos lugares en todo el mundo.
Sí.
Y tu calidad de vida.
Is your quality of life better here than in Colombia?
Está mejor aquí que fue allí en Colombia or.
En Colombia, 1000 veces.
We are 1,000 times better in Colombia. Now, the tragic part here is that these guys were essentially told by the last administration, just come here. It's better in America. We'll take care of you. But it's not. It's a lot worse. And now they're in a position where they can't get back to Colombia. Let me just tell you, the CBP Home app is your friend. The U.S. government will pay for you and your family to fly back to Colombia. They'll even give you a little stipend. That money will go far in Colombia. You do not have to stay living on the streets of Skid Row in Los Angeles. Northern Pike, we all get the self-deportee plane from Trump and quit eating our dogs. Danny Snow, thank you for such a great platform on Rumble. Really enjoy your show. From your new resident British patriot. Hey, Danny, welcome to the United States of America. I bet you're taking care of yourself and you're not living off of the kindness of Lady Liberty because, of course, it looks like you're a white man. They probably made sure you had a job and had something you could offer the United States. That's how it used to work. Back when in the early 20th century, they didn't just let any old schlub off the boat at Staten Island or whatever it was, Liberty Island. You had to have something to offer the United States of America. And if you were a pregnant woman, they were going to turn you right around and they were going to send you back to wherever the hell you came from. Let's see. Oh, Nick served as a missionary. That's why he knows Spanish. I did not know that. Good for Nick. Thank you, Danny, and welcome to the United States. Appreciate you being here. All right, so I think that we should do a little update with Garland Favorito, because, of course, although we haven't gotten any news from the federal government on what's happening with Fulton County, there has been confirmation that the FBI did, in fact, verify that there was a number of different types of election fraud that took place in Fulton County in the 2020 election. Now, Garland Favorito has had an ongoing case where he and his organization, Voter Georgia, have been attempting to gain access to the very ballots that the U.S. government seized from Fulton County. So he's got a couple of updates in terms of what's going on with that case and what's going on with proving the election fraud in Fulton County, Georgia, and in other places as well. Before we do that, I have a very brief message from our friends on Rumble. Want to say thank you very much to Rumble and 1775 Coffee. You guys, if you have not yet tried 1775 Coffee, there is still time. They have some of those starter kits available. In those starter kits, you're going to get their bold dark roast, their smooth medium roast, and their Vitality mushroom coffee that gives you clean energy and laser focus, but it doesn't give you the crash. It's all made from the highest quality beans you can get. Single origin, small batch, toxin, and mold-free. Not all coffee brands can say that. You're also going to get a couple of freebies. You're going to get their gold spoon clip, a very strong frother, and a very sharp black 1775 tumbler. It's $170 worth of coffee and gear, and it's all yours for just 99 bucks. This is for the people who have been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble and wonder if it's actually worth it. It truly is, and you should try it by going to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab one of those starter kits before they're gone. You'll get a pack of bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like a Rumble does. You can use that QR code on screen or click the link in the chat, 1775coffee.com/studio. Thank you to Rumble and 1775. G. Fontes says migrants that came to open a business, such as a corner store, would get 5 years to operate, tax-free since the 1980s at least. I knew two that would bring in new people and transfer titles of ownership. That's a loophole that should not exist. Surter says the homeless industrial complex started to ramp up in the early 2000s here. They centralized the local agencies and bled into the low-income housing area. I live under it daily. Yes, you do, sir. And if it wasn't for people abusing that system and siphoning off as much money as possible, then they might have been able to successfully address many of the issues that people who find themselves homeless are facing on a daily basis. I'm so sorry to see that you're still dealing with it. All right, so let's listen in and hear from Garland Favorito and the ongoing case in Fulton County, Georgia.
It's really easy, John. The probable cause for the warrant it focused on 5 areas. One was the vote count discrepancies. There were 3 counts, and they told us that it all added up. All 3 counts matched. In reality, the audit, which was conducted of the original count, had 6,691 double reported ballots and a 3,466 discrepancy difference. That was confirmed by Governor Kemp's own study that was based on our information that Joe Rossi took to him, and Joe did a great job of getting the governor to corroborate the information that David Cross and others had put out there. So that's one. That is fully corroborated. It's not debunked. The governor's own report has it. And the machine count that they did after that, that was off another 4,880 votes. Yeah. So that's number one. The second one is the double scan ballots. We now know that there's 3,930 double scanned and double counted ballots. The state election board heard that on July 9th of 2024 from expert witness testimony from Philip Davis. He's a 30-year career image analyst, and they got all that on the record. That has never been refuted. So that's 2. Then you've got the counterfeit ballots, number 3, which was sworn affidavits from 6 senior poll managers 4 senior poll managers and 2 audit monitors that found counterfeit ballots in the Fulton County audit. And that was when I was there and Caroline Jeffords was there. We filed that original lawsuit back in December 23rd of 2020. They knew they were counterfeit, John, because they were mail-in ballots. They weren't folded from being mailed. Yeah. They weren't written with a writing instrument. It looked like it was toner copied. They were not on the correct paper stock, and they were voted the same way down ballot for dozens of a row. So that's 3 things. And then the 4th one is the missing records, which that was a criminal referral just recently for $315,000. There were ballots from missing tabulator tapes, ballot images actually. And that's only a portion of over 1 million missing records, missing images, missing SHA files, signature authentication files that back that up. And then you've got the whole other issue of Fulton County backfilling about 17,000 votes to make everything match up.
Yeah.
So
not to mention.
Now, I'm sure that people are going to say, well, so they're looking for all of these things, but what about those missing boxes? You had like 50 plus missing boxes. Well, unfortunately for Fulton County, just because those records are missing is not going to exonerate them from being able to be investigated or having the crime proven, because the lack of records themselves are a crime in and of themselves. And as Garland has said, all of these issues that we've spoken about since 2020 about the various alterations that were made to ballots, ballot counts, the ballots themselves not being legitimate ballots, the list goes on and on. We're only talking about a select subset of the many issues that have been identified in Georgia and around the country. All of these things are enough to prove that the election of 2020 was fraudulent in Fulton County, Georgia. The only reason that I can imagine they haven't yet gone to Maricopa County or to Milwaukee or to Philadelphia is because they are waiting until the investigation in Fulton County has concluded or has gotten to the point at which they can indict other people or come forward with some findings. And then they can say, well, guess what? We know that the similar circumstances that took place in 2020 in Fulton County were duplicated in X, Y, and Z, and that's where we're going next. Perhaps in the meantime, there will be some other covert arm of the investigation taking place so that it'll be easier to tee it up. But all we need to really do is prove that the election was fraudulent based upon one jurisdiction. And that should be enough to invalidate the results of the 2020 election. Now, that doesn't mean that President Trump will be retroactively made president or anything like that, but using that as a predicate to ensure it doesn't happen again, that's the really important thing. We are here. We survived 4 years under the Biden regime. I think we're thriving under Trump 2.0. And as far as I'm concerned, the justification of this investigation is only to essentially vindicate everything that we've been saying, the work of people like Garland Favorito and Voter Georgia, and so many other countless election security organizations, people like my friends at Unite for Freedom, people like so many other organizations that have gone out there and done the difficult work. Ed Solomon, my buddy at the Zark Files. The list is on and on. Go to my channel. You can see interviews that I've done with so many different people. We've talked about this, and I know that all of you here in the chat, or most of you here in the chat, maybe you're new, maybe you came from Reddit because you don't like me talking about trannies. There is definitely enough evidence to show that we've been correct this entire time.
Has been proven in state election board investigations, the governor and so on. Very little is unproven.
Garland, we only got about 30 seconds left.
What about senators and congressmen? That one from the cheat? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle that. There's already been discussion publicly about the fact that, people are in office that should not be in office. Some of those people, we're coming up on the end of their terms. So can we prove that that person was involved in the fraud? or are they just the recipient of the ill-gotten gains of the fraud? That's a question for the FBI and the DOJ. And I know that I would love it if anybody is in office as a result of the fraud, if those people were stripped of their positions and the true winners were put in. But I can't necessarily predict that that will happen. That would obviously be a huge win for election security. But I can tell you I'd like to see it. I definitely like to see it. But that will be a question for the FBI and the DOJ.
I could spend all day talking to you, but real quickly, what is the solution for 26? Is it for the state to run Fulton County? What do you want to see happen to give Georgians a better confidence in their system this time around?
I think that Greg Dolezal was correct, Senator Dolezal, when he came on. I think that is a legitimate solution. I mean, we just can't trust Fulton County to run their elections. They haven't really put in place the things they need to do. They're still hiding the ballots.
Ideally, I want people to go to jail. I want people to be charged with felonies. I don't want them to come to us with the findings that the election was fraudulent and that things were covered up and pretend that it's merely the consequence of a bunch of retards running the election in Fulton County. These people may be retarded, but they're not stupid. This was an intentional act, a series of intentional acts. In my opinion, this is perfect for a RICO case. And it would extend far beyond Fulton County because the actions that we saw in Fulton County, we saw duplicated in those other jurisdictions that I mentioned earlier. I want all of these people to go to prison. Sassy Gal says, Harry Horry with Unite for Freedom and Joe Hoft have been on long segments 2 days this week. Check out their direct interviews. I will go ahead and check it out for sure. Good to see you, Sassy Gal. G. Fontez says, every few years to the new proxy that either lived... Wait, did I miss something? No? Okay, so yes, I think that you are... You're following up on what you said earlier about migrants getting 5 years tax-free to operate. Every few years to the new proxy, they hand ownership of that business that either lived in HUD housing with family or in the growing number of stores, well over a dozen around the county by the last time I saw the original Arab owners. This is obviously something that must be addressed, cannot continue to do that. And then Surter says, in regards to the homeless industrial complex, they are bleeding into low-income housing right now and creating a low-income housing industrial complex. The nonprofit I Live Under does as little as possible for the residents here. I see them as two extensions of the same beast, two arms of the same beast, because there is a crossover in public services that is given. So for obviously low-income housing, Section 8, and then you've got people that are homeless before they get into Section 8. So they're kind of bled through this pipeline. And yes, these organizations are taking as much of the money as they can to line their pockets. It's like the builders. It's like those businesses, builders down here in Florida or in Texas or anywhere else that are saying that they can't continue to build houses affordably if they can't hire illegal aliens, or the assholes in Idaho who says that they're not going to be able to pick potatoes unless they can hire illegal aliens. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Those people used to do that job with Americans on their staff. They would subcontract to Americans. They had Americans, or they had legal migrant labor that would come in and pick potatoes. But I guarantee you there are Americans who want to do that job. As long as the unemployment rate in the United States of America is north of 0%, there are American bodies that are free to fill those gaps. Every single American that can work should be working. Nobody should be dependent on anybody else unless for some reason they're physically unable to. Are they disabled? Do they have some sort of underlying condition which restricts their ability to move around or to, cognitively make their way through the working world? Sassy Gal, thank you again. Wounds Are Us says, this is a slow drip to continually educate people. I agree. It prepares people for the revelations of the grand conspiracy grand jury in Florida. Yes, because it is all connected. Northern Pike, imagine what we in good spirits could really do for this world. God bless, manifest goodwill. Yes, if it wasn't for the fact that they were slowly bleeding us dry and trying to destroy the morale of every single American citizen, I think that our society could be far beyond where we are right now. It would not be necessary to even have these conversations because we could be so much more advanced. Let me also say thank you very much to No Thanks Joe, who says, thanks, Zach and Lisa. God bless, be safe. Appreciate you, homie. Thank you very much to Filter Dog, who says, Mayor Zoran Mamdani has declared that property taxes will require a 9.5% hike across NYC to make up for Governor Kathy Hochul's refusal to hike taxes on New York's wealthy. Yes, he essentially gave her an ultimatum. Either allow him to raise taxes on the wealthy and on corporations, or they were going to have to not only raise taxes by 9.5% to all New York homeowners, New York City homeowners, but they were also going to have to dip into like pension funds and stuff like that. I think it was maybe in San Francisco or someplace else out west, where the city or the county was going to plunder the firemen's pension fund so that they could fund like DEI and climate change bullshit. Totally ridiculous. Fuck the Dems says, you deserve much more, my brother. Thank you very much. And that was PHUK, the Dems. Sean Joe, thank you for the can and another can and 2 more cookies and then another cookie. And Filter Dog says, Georgia has 2 senators illegally elected. Yes, I agree with you. And they are both coming up on re-election time right now. Okay, and that is it for the thank yous. So we will continue here. Unfortunately, although it is through her own adult decision-making, Tricia McLaughlin, the superstar spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security under Secretary Kristi Noem, has reportedly resigned. She has been wonderful. I think that she's been cogent, succinct. She's been able to get the message out from the administration on everything that we're doing, the efforts to curtail illegal immigration, to find and round up the illegal aliens. No genocide necessary. Every single person is allowed to go back to their country of origin. And if they choose to leave this country, they can even come back here legally. But if they came here illegally and they don't want to leave of their own volition, and we have to find you and we have to arrest you, you are no longer welcome in the United States of America. So Tricia is now leaving the Department of Homeland Security. She was expected to inform colleagues as of today about her plans. She did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and she still publicly supports the Trump administration and all of the tactics that we're using. I think, again, she's been an excellent mouthpiece for the administration. There is also talk that this has been planned. She actually wanted to step down in December, but she decided to extend her stay after the unfortunate events that led to the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, both of them dying as a result of their own retarded behavior. Now, the good news is that they already have somebody to replace her. That is going to be another brilliant conservative female. This woman is Katie Zachariah. She's a lawyer, also a staunch advocate for President Trump's deportation policies. She's going to be taking over immediately for Tricia McLaughlin as she departs. She's been a very vocal advocate of ICE, exposed how illegals are bankrupting states like California, and she has repeatedly set up and outlined steps that would be used to defund sanctuary cities across the country. Here is a 37-second clip of her so that we can get a taste of how she's going to be as the new DHS spokesperson.
And this is what they get, Katie.
And they stand also, as Bill Haley said, they stand in violation of the Supremacy Clause, and they will lose on this. The Supremacy Clause says there is a supreme law of the land, and that immigration falls under that trace, and so they're not going to be able to enforce this. But more importantly, the widespread pattern of this has to do with sanctuary cities thinking they're above the law. And LA County, Mayor Bass, and all of these supervisors think they're above the law. They are not. The federal law applies to them, and they stand in violation. And President Trump said today, all of these states that have sanctuary jurisdictions are on notice. Federal funding will be revoked, and they should do that for LA City right off the bat.
And this is
boom. I think we got a winner. Katie, I think, is going to be an excellent replacement for Tricia. I'm going to give her a follow right now so that I can keep abreast of her announcements. All right. Now, Little Peachy, they are not arresting all illegal, only serious. Oh, you're speaking to some moron in the chat. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, they're definitely not arresting all migrants or just brown people. That's fucking retarded, my friend. All right. Now, yesterday, I told you that President Trump has put Wes Moore and Washington, D.C. Democrat leaders on notice because 1 billion gallons of raw sewage has been spilling into the Potomac. That should not be happening in any waterway. I am a staunch conservationist. I want our natural beauty, the splendor of the United States of America, and the splendor of nature around the world to be preserved for future generations, and so that ecosystems and the food web can exist without unnecessary pressure, poisons, and man-made disasters like this. But of course, Maryland Governor Wes Moore is blaming President Trump for his incompetent administration destroying a sewage line and dumping billions of gallons of poop into the Potomac waterway. Also, in addition to that, I saw some dude who works locally. He's actually like part of the water infrastructure, and he was telling people not to worry about all the poop that's being pumped into the waterways. He said, I, for one, am still going to be fishing in this waterway. I'm still going to be eating the fish out of this waterway. He must not have seen the signs that were being put up by Maryland that says, do not drink this water, do not fish in this water, do not swim in this water, do not allow your dogs to go in this water. I don't understand. Some people are just so dumb. All right, so Governor Wes Moore has responded to President Trump's threat after this pipe burst last month. This isn't like new. This happened a couple of weeks ago, which is still sending hundreds of millions of gallons of raw sewage, toilet paper, poop, corn into the Potomac River. This sewage spill from Montgomery County, Maryland, it's north of D.C., began on January 19th, almost a month ago now, was estimated to have discharged nearly 300 million gallons of sewage into this famed river. Just remember that. Nearly a month ago, and they still have not figured how to turn it off. Maryland and D.C. officials have done nothing to handle this crisis. It's currently killing wildlife. It is destroying the natural balance of the Potomac River. It's ruining any plans people might have for recreation. I mean, you're not going to want to go kayaking. You're not going to want to go paddleboarding in the Potomac either. President Trump said he is activating FEMA, slammed Wes Moore's gross mismanagement of the situation, and reminded everybody that Wes Moore still has not successfully completed the bridge that was previously hit by a freighter under Joe Biden's administration. It is clear local authorities cannot adequately handle this calamity. Therefore, I am directing federal authorities to immediately provide all necessary management, direction, and coordination to protect the Potomac, the water supply in the capital region, and our treasured national resources in our nation's capital city. While state and local authorities have failed to request needed emergency, this again, a month ago, nobody thought to pick up the phone. I mean, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, it's the whole reason it's there. This is obviously an environmental catastrophe. It exposes the blatant hypocrisy of today's left. They tell you that they care about all of these things, that they're working to preserve. They're not working to preserve anything but the money that is flowing into their own pockets. These people are corrupt bureaucrats. They're not servants of the people. They are not even doing their job at a minimum level. And of course, they continue to fail upwards. Disgusting. All right. So Moore's office has spoken to The Hill, and they said that the president has his facts wrong, and they blamed President Trump for the federally regulated Potomac Interceptor's rupture. The president has his facts wrong again. Since the last century, the federal government has been responsible for the Potomac Interceptor, which is the origin of the sewage leak. For the last 4 weeks, the Trump administration has failed to act, shirking its responsibility and putting people's health at risk, a spokesperson for Moore said. Notably, the president's own EPA explicitly refused to participate in the major legislative hearing about the cleanup last Friday. Apparently, the Trump administration hadn't gotten the memo that they're actually supposed to be in charge here. PBS said, asked why Trump was placing blame on Moore outside of Maryland's jurisdiction, a White House official said, who was not authorized to comment publicly and spoke on anonymity, said Maryland was slow to coordinate with federal entities on the ruptured pipe and has not kept up with needed updates to the state's water and wastewater infrastructure. Again, retards. Patty Ninefinger says, screw defunding, arrest them all. I am with you. I am with you. Yeah. Defunding, I think, is where you got to start, though. All right. Now we are going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. We've got a couple of different things to discuss about the Epstein saga. Interestingly enough, Peter Levenda is a guy, I've read a couple of his books. I think he wrote a book called Black 9/11, if I'm not mistaken. It was all about how 9/11 was essentially an occult ritual. But Peter is saying in this interview that the Jeffrey Epstein storyline is essentially the same as a film that came out in 1968 called The Magus, or The Magus, I think it's called. But it's an example of predictive programming. Listen to Peter lay this out. I've never seen this film, never heard of it, but I'm going to watch it now.
One of my favorite films that I saw when I was 18 years old was The Magus.
The Magus.
The Magus stars Anthony Quinn, Michael Caine, and Candice Bergen. I think was probably her first role. 1968. It's based on the novel by John Fowles. It was a very big novel at the time, a bestseller. Okay. Anthony Quinn plays this mysterious person living on an island in Greece. Michael Caine is a British school teacher. He's just dumped his girlfriend, who's an air hostess or something. And now he's trying to find himself or whatever. He's a sort of an arrogant, closed-off, cold person. And he's a school teacher on this island in Greece. But the mysterious person, played by Anthony Quinn, invites him to his house. And in his house, there's a temple to Poseidon. And that temple to Poseidon, you see it briefly from a distance. Mostly you're inside, right? It's in the interior, or you see the Poseidon statue. But there is a shot from a distance, and my God, if that temple of Poseidon is not a replica of the one on Epstein's Island.
Really?
And then what freaked me out a little bit more.
What's the name of this movie?
The Magus, M-A-G-U-S.
The M-A-G-U-S.
The Magus, that's it. There's Anthony Quinn, yeah.
Okay, find the Poseidon temple from the Magus film, see if you can find that.
So I just watched this recently again. And with the Epstein files fresh in my mind, now I'm looking at this a completely different way.
Yeah.
There is one room in that house in the movie where it's a nice room, but there's all these masks on the wall. Remember the room in Epstein's place? He has all these masks, these heads on the wall, just regular like heads all over the place. And there was a duplicate of that, in the movie The Magus. And
there was also a duplicate on the wall of the office of a bureaucrat that was featured in the files. I actually showed you the picture here on the show.
Started to wonder, because there's this association with occultism in the film, there's the association with a very wealthy guy controlling the lives of people, playing them as puppets, manipulating them. You have to see the film or read the book to understand what I mean, but Anthony Quinn is like a master manipulator in this, right?
Wow.
But he has a temple of Poseidon, and he has all those heads on the wall, and he's manipulating people who are there. He's supposedly already dead, but he's not. His grave is there, right? They take him to meet his grave, and then he comes and sees the guy. The guy was supposed to have died in the 40s, and there he is in present day, which is 1968, I guess. So all of this is going on. I mean, all these connections are being made with this film. I'm not saying that Epstein saw the movie and said, I want to be Anthony Quinn, because he would have done a better job, I think. But what I'm saying is that these events ripple out. Okay, the synchronicities that take place are just the surface.
And we all know this. We've identified it. We've seen it in other pieces of popular entertainment in the past. What's even stranger about it is that in the Epstein files, Epstein client Woody Allen, well, I'm sorry, I don't know that this is in the files. Woody Allen said this. He said, if I had to live my life again, Also, keep in mind what we know Woody Allen did. I would do everything exactly the same, except that I wouldn't go and see the mages. So interesting that he brought it up. Jep863 says, Zach, if this was the 90s and oil, the deep state would be up in arms about the animals. Since it's shit, it's a planned op way to go. I agree with you. Yeah, I think that this is definitely something that didn't need to happen. All right, now I want to show you 2 emails that we've already looked at, but I didn't look at them in the way that I'm looking at them now. So in this email right here, Jeffrey Epstein emails Ann Rodriguez, and he says, ask Chris about my trumpet plants at nursery. Okay, so, you know, when I first read this, I didn't know anything about a trumpet plant other than the way it looked. And I just thought, okay, so he's got plants. I probably should have thought about it a little bit more. In another email, Antoine Verglas, another person in the files, emails Jeffrey Epstein a story from the Daily Mail about scopolamine. We've spoken about scopolamine on the show before. Scopolamine is a very dangerous and powerful drug that is derived from several natural sources. One of those sources is the trumpet plant, the trumpet flower. Now, scopolamine is often used in places like Colombia for its hypnotic and sedative powers. So if you're an American tourist and you go to Colombia and you meet a pretty girl, you're going to want to be careful because she might put some scopolamine in your drink or she might blow it into your face. If you've ever seen The Serpent and the Rainbow, this is the substance they were using in The Serpent and the Rainbow to create zombies, essentially. When you are given scopolamine, it takes away your agency. They blow it into your face or they put it into your drink. Victims will wake up and they have had their bank accounts completely emptied. Maybe people have come in and robbed their homes while they've just sat there on the couch. When you're under the influence of scopolamine, you can take direction, you can interact, you will have a conversation with people, but you will be under the spell of this hypnotic sedative and you have no agency and no free will. So it can also be used for sex trafficking. It can be used to take someone's memory away of the fact that they've been raped or they've been put through some type of a traumatic torture session or a satanic ritual. This is used in Colombia. It's made from something called the borrachero tree, pretty common down there. But it essentially wipes the memory of the victims, the people who are given it. And it's quite common down in Colombia and in other places in South America. So I would just warn anybody that goes down there. So the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was cultivating trumpet flowers could potentially indicate the fact that he was also chemically synthesizing scopolamine from the flowers and then using it on the children that he was trafficking. Of course, most of the people who have come forward, they have different stories about the way that they were abused or the things that happened to them. But it's very possible that perhaps the ones that we haven't heard of claiming that they were drugged or that they, had some sort of missing time or something like that, maybe those are the ones that don't make it out to report that they were abused. Maybe those are the ones that are then tortured or abused by people like Leon Black, who allegedly was into torture, was some type of a sadist. He had, in that account from a victim, bitten a small child's vagina to the point that it bled, and she was traumatized from that. That report that we went over last week came from a lawyer that was in negotiations with the FBI and the DOJ, talking to them about the accounts of abuse because they wanted to get this man, they wanted him arrested. They wanted some type of justice to happen. But just imagine for a sex trafficker to have access to something like scopolamine, it would make it very easy to use just in the initial phases of trafficking. You find a child on the street, you blow the scopolamine on their face, and then they're just going to come with you. They're going to go and they're going to do whatever it is that you want, because they're not going to even be consciously aware of what's happening to them. This is, I think, something that was certainly happening. Because, you know, trumpet flowers, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, it could just be that the guy had a nursery and that he liked trumpet flowers, but he had somebody else checking on it, which seems to suggest to me that he had somebody else cultivating them, which means he wasn't doing it for the flowers. He was doing it for what the trumpet flowers would produce. And for what reason would Antoine Verglas be sending an article about scopolamine to Jeffrey Epstein without bothering to add any context? All it says is the contents of the article. It discusses victims talking about the effects. Vice actually did a documentary on scopolamine and the people who have had this used on them. And, you know, it's very dangerous because people can die from it. Sometimes they are killed rather than the people who are using it for a hypnotic sedative so they can be robbed. They would rather just kill the people so then they can't come after them. But for the people who do survive, oftentimes they're left penniless at the end of the day. Just so you're aware, scopolamine is odorless and tasteless, and it doesn't take very much for the effects to be felt. So you could have it blown in your face. It could be dusted on a door handle. You can touch it, and then it gets into your eye, your mucous membranes, and boom, then you're under the spell. So be very, very careful when you travel. Yes, in the seeds, there are a number of different natural sources for scopolamine. But yes, the tree in Colombia, they're getting it from the seeds from the fruit of that tree. But yes, you can get scopolamine from a number of different natural sources. All right, now, speaking of Jeffrey Epstein, let's talk about Hillary Clinton, because she has finally addressed the fact that there is some question about she and Bill's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Real quick, before we go through this final segment of the show, I have one brief final message from our friends over here on Rumble. And let me get that pulled up. All right. You guys have probably noticed over here on Rumble, they are growing fast. They are not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. I don't have to worry about what I say, and that really makes it easier to talk to you guys. Now there is Rumble Premium as well. It's an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Rumble Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. There's no pre-rolls, no interruptions, simply the content that you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and a lot more from your favorite creators. And right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. You can just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. Once again, that's rumble.com/premium with the promo code STUDIO, and you'll get no ads, more freedom, and content that you actually care about. That's the deal. All of my shows are free, and I do video game streams on Rumble Premium because I know most people are not going to be too worried about watching me play video games. But if you want to chill out with me and not talk current events, then you can do that. Thank you very much to Rumble Premium. Wounds are rust. Yes, scopolamine is frequently used for dizziness, air sickness, and motion sickness. The amount that is used for the motion sickness is very, very minute in comparison to the pure extract that you're going to be using for a hypnotic sedative purposes. But yes, scopolamine does have medicinal uses. Isle of White Privilege says the movie Blink Twice comes to mind. I've never actually seen that, but it's a movie that I've wanted to see. Let's see. Northern Pike says contact Governor Wes Moore at 410-974-3901. Tell him to get his shit together, or less more, and say thanks for sending to his. Thank you for attending to this shitty matter. All right. Let me see. Also, thank you very much to Willie Breakit. That's millions of congressional bloviating pouring into the Potomac River. Yes. There's a freaking mosquito in here. What the hell? Anyways, so Hillary Clinton was asked about Jeffrey Epstein. And this is the first time that I'm aware of that she's broken her silence on this subject. She's just appeared at the Munich Security Conference. She kind of made an idiot out of herself. But she was being interviewed by the BBC. And the interviewer, Jess Parker, asked about the Clintons' links to the Epstein. To Jeffrey Epstein. She went on the defensive and she basically said that there are no connections to Jeffrey Epstein. You've got it totally wrong. So let's hear it from the horse's mouth. And just need to get through this commercial.
Do you regret the links that there have been? You know, we have no links. We have a very clear record that we've been willing to talk about, which my husband has said. He took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work. I don't recall ever meeting him.
Did you ever meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
I did on a few
Ghislaine Maxwell was at her daughter's wedding. She doesn't mention that.
occasions, and thousands of people go to the Clinton Global Initiative. So it to me is not something that is really at the heart of what this matter is about. They are accused, and in both cases were convicted of horrific crimes against girls and women. That should be the focus. And
I agree, that should be the focus. But what also should be the focus is the connections to wealthy and powerful individuals like Bill and Hillary Clinton that Jeffrey Epstein maintained long after he was a convicted sex offender. And Hillary Clinton, you know, that's funny that Hillary Clinton wants to talk about the children. Do you guys remember when she was Secretary of State and she actively covered up a scandal where a U.S. ambassador would frequently ditch his protective duty so that he could go procure the services of prostitutes and children to engage in sexual activity with? The State Department covered it up. They also threatened the investigators to stop looking into it. This didn't come out until the Obama it came out during the Obama administration. And Jen Psaki was the spokesperson for the State Department at the time. And she was actively part of the cover-up. So for Hillary Clinton to pretend like Bill Clinton only knew Jeffrey Epstein in terms of his philanthropic work is pretty ridiculous. We know that there were young women and girls on those flights that Bill Clinton took. Bill Clinton went to the island. As far as I know, there was nothing good happening at the island. Bill Clinton was also a notorious sex addict who, anytime he could get his willy wet, he was willing to do it. And he was also a bit of a sadist. If you'll remember when he, hang on. When he raped Juanita Broaddrick, he famously said to her, "You better put some ice on that," because he punched her to subdue her in order to sexually assault her. So Bill Clinton is not some like moral individual that can take the high ground on anything. And Hillary Clinton being married to him, they're both monsters as far as I'm concerned. They were both involved in many different shady dealings. There's no reason that Jeffrey Epstein would be invited into the White House 17 times or more unless Bill and Hillary Clinton knew him. There's no reason for Ghislaine Maxwell to be invited to the wedding of their daughter unless she was also fairly well acquainted with them. There's also no reason for Bill Clinton to have been photographed with pictures of Epstein sex slaves in his lap, or to be taking dips in the hot tub or the pool with Ghislaine Maxwell and other victims. That certainly wasn't for philanthropic purposes, and it shows that Bill was hanging out at a minimum with Jeffrey and Ghislaine outside of the context of their philanthropic efforts. So Hillary Clinton, if she answers this way before Congress, then she's going to perjure herself. But I think that's exactly what she plans to do. She has set this up. She has spoken about it strategically only after she and her husband have been forced to arrange for their depositions to be given in Congress. Now, she also laughed when the interviewer brought up the idea of Bill Clinton in the hot tub. Let's just to remind you, here is Bill, here is Ghislaine, here is one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims, an unknown woman. Here is Bill in the hot tub, laying out, looking rather comfortable. Of course, you know, he's just feeding hungry kids here in this hot tub with a woman or a girl that we can't see. Let's go ahead and see. What is Hillary Clinton's reaction when she saw the pictures of her husband in a hot tub? I don't think that Hillary Clinton felt anything at all. I think this woman is a witch. I think she's a heartless harpy. She has no human emotion. She's pure evil incarnate.
What was your reaction when you saw some of the material that has been released? I'm thinking, for example, of images of your husband apparently in a hot tub in a swimming pool on Epstein's plane. What was your reaction to that? And do you know the context surrounding some of those images?
Absolutely. And it wasn't a hot tub on a plane. It was one of the stops they made to look at philanthropic and charitable work that my husband has done, saving literally millions of lives around the world. It turned out that was done long before there was any public awareness and certainly any conviction of any crime by Jeffrey Epstein. So it was a short period of time that was in pursuit of charitable philanthropic work. A lot of people were traveling at the same time. Many staff members, guests, other supporters of the foundation. If Bill and I had a penny for every person we've taken pictures with, we would be extremely rich today.
They are extremely rich because largely they've plundered their philanthropic organization for their own personal benefit. Now, Hillary Clinton says that she and Bill and Jeffrey didn't have any association. What about Jeffrey Epstein's own comments about founding the Clinton Global Initiative with the Clintons? I hope that they ask her about that. Now, of course, Hillary says that it's the administration trying to whitewash their own associations with Jeffrey Epstein. That's the only reason that they're focused on them. Never you mind, we've got like 60 years of stories of Bill and Hillary Clinton acting like straight demons, being associated with the deaths of countless associates and witnesses. President Trump responded to Hillary Clinton's comments. Oh, hold on. Is this a new one? Oh, yes. Do you regret the links? Okay, so here is President Trump responding. Of course, President Trump is being completely exonerated. The left in this country, the commies, they continue to harp on the fake idea that President Trump is somehow dirtied up by the Epstein files. I mean, having read the Epstein files in a large part and having researched this subject for many years, I can tell you conclusively that President Trump has no association with Jeffrey Epstein other than the fact that he's the only guy publicly who cut Jeffrey Epstein off even before he was a convicted sex offender, and also spoke to authorities about Jeffrey Epstein. He's the only person who ever knew Jeffrey Epstein that spoke with the lawyers for the victims, offered them any assistance that he could, also told people that Ghislaine Maxwell needed to be investigated, not just Jeffrey Epstein, because that woman was evil. Oh, hold on. I gotta.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response to that?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
You know, I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
The hunter becomes the hunted. Oh no, the hunted becomes he was the hunted, now he's the hunter. Either way, I don't know why I can't say that correctly today. But I also want to mention, because yesterday we gave Steve Bannon's comment about his presence in the Epstein files. I think it's highly notable that President Trump has not come out against Steve Bannon in any way. He's clearly aware of everything that's in there. I mean, in those same conversations where Jeffrey Epstein is colluding with Michael Wolff, Steve Bannon was present in some of those conversations. And President Trump has not spoken out against Steve Bannon. He hasn't come out and said, Steve Bannon betrayed me yet again. He's a bad person. I think that's notable. All right. You can, again, feel free to disagree with me, but I think that there is something to divine from the way President Trump is addressing it. Now, in addition, we have an update on Zoro Ranch. New Mexico lawmakers yesterday voted unanimously to approve $2.5 million immediately to fund a truth commission in the state. It has subpoena power, and they're going to be probing the trafficking and sexual assaults that took place at Zoro Ranch specifically. Now, this was set to begin today. I don't know what's happened. However, testimony will be given. It can and hopefully will lead to prosecutions. Again, we have the state government and the Huff-Hines family, the current owners of Zoro Ranch, both indicating that they want to cooperate on the investigation into whether or not there are any women, girls, or children of any kind that are buried on this property or on the public land nearby. The land commissioner has already requested cadaver dogs and ground-penetrating radar, and here we are. It is finally happening. I want to remind you as well, if you're a person out there in the chat who is still unconvinced that President Trump wanted to get Jeffrey Epstein and also has done incredible work to save children from being abused and trafficked, it is under President Trump's administration that the Epstein files have come out through largely a game of superior 5D chess, convincing the mainstream media and the left that the Epstein files were going to somehow implicate him in something terrible. Instead, all it did was get everybody on board to demand that these files be released. And now finally, for the first time in history, there are real investigations going on, and people are losing their jobs. People are being implicated in criminal activity. And this never would have happened under anybody else. President Trump made this possible. Continuing, we have a case that is tangential to the Epstein case, but I have not seen it talked about anywhere. This is in Manhattan. This is Manhattan Federal Court, and 3 brothers are currently on trial for sex trafficking charges. Each of them are facing life in prison. Between the 3 of them, have over 60 victims, and their names are Orrin, Allen, and Tal Alexander. Prosecutors have reportedly spoken to over 60 individuals who allege that they were drugged and raped by at least one of these 3 brothers. The Alexander brothers, described as prominent ultra-luxury real estate figures with, guess, Israeli-American ties, were indicted by the Southern District of New York in December of 2024. There was also a superseding indictment filed in May of 2025, allegedly added a sex trafficking of a minor count involving a victim reportedly as young as 16. Additional state charges were also filed separately down here in Florida in Miami-Dade County. Now, this is where the connection to Jeffrey Epstein comes in. On February 2nd of this year, the judge in the case, Valerie Caprani, issued an order barring the DOJ from releasing any Epstein files material that references the 3 defendants, because this is an ongoing trial and an ongoing investigation. Now, after the trial concludes and a verdict is reached, the judge has said that the DOJ and the FBI can release anything related to these men. So that seems to indicate that these brothers' names might appear in a series of documents related to this case. A court reporter has shown that there is a 6-page spreadsheet of Epstein-related tips where the government had previously inadvertently released showing these three brothers associated with that. So that means that a victim called in to the Epstein sex trafficking tip line and gave a tip about these brothers. I'm not sure if that's what led to them being arrested or if it was something else, but we're talking about a federal sex trafficking trial involving allegations from over 60 victims, maybe in some way tied to the Epstein network. I have long said that this is not a series of disconnected crimes that are being committed. These people know each other. There is a lot of bleed through and crossover, even if you've got three brothers that are largely doing their own thing. Pedophiles, no pedophiles. Sex traffickers, no sex traffickers. And these people are directly connected to each other in one way or another. Not to mention that money, power, access, fame, those things all tend to bleed together as well. So with this judge actively suppressing information from the government with anything related to these guys, indicates that there is a direct crossover between these two. But the funny thing is that media isn't really talking about it. Look at these guys. Look at these guys. Does that look like the faces of sex traffickers? I would say probably most people would say no. They just look like normal dudes. But maybe it's because there is an Israeli tie that the information and news about this case is being suppressed. That could be. Who knows? But I think it's worth following, and we will. Continuing, I need to say thank you to Northern Pike. Wow, Red Pill Rooster really digs. Scratches beneath the surface. Love the exposure of all this to see. Much love. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Slings and arrows. Rocking it as usual. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you for that, my friend. Northern Pike also says, did Hillary Killery say her husband took some bribes on the airplane? That's what I thought I heard. No, unfortunately, she said he took some rides on the airplane. All right. This is very important. And this is a subject we've spoken about before. I will say that you cannot trust what you see on the internet. This is an example of that. Now, you all know who Brian Krasenstein is. Brian Krasenstein is a Democrat operative. He lives on X. His whole thing is about trying to take down Trump. He's been doing this for years. And as I have shown you in the past, Brian Krasenstein clearly has connections to some big networks. Not that long ago, I showed you a message that he posted publicly to Twitter, which appeared to be inadvertently sent to his public profile, but was supposed to be a private message on Signal, where he said he had a meeting with George S., and they were compromised. It was right as Signalgate in Minneapolis was breaking and all of the Antifa private chats were starting to come out. Here is another example of Brian Krasenstein posting to his public Brian Krasenstein profile when he meant to post it to a fake Trump supporter account that apparently has quite a few followers. The account was called Melted Minds, and now it appears to have been deleted because Brian Krasenstein was exposed. So essentially, the moral of the story is Brian Krasenstein, radical leftist, possibly also a child abuser. He has had some claims made against him. I believe his brother as well. They're twins. He was running a fake MAGA PSYOP on X, and it ties directly into the Epstein files. Take a look. You can see here, I was one of Trump's biggest supporters. I defended him through everything. Media attacks, investigations, indictments, nonstop chaos. Now we're going to go to his Melted Minds account because he says the exact same thing. And look, he's got a picture of a tattooed arm throwing a Make America Great Again hat in the into the trash. He says, I stuck with him because I believed he was different. I believed he was going to drain the swamp. I believed he was going to expose the corruption. I believed he was going to take down the people hurting children. That was the whole point. He campaigned on cleaning house, on exposing elite criminals, on protecting kids, and I bought it fully. So when I watched him talk about the Epstein files a couple of days ago with my own eyes and say, it's time to move on, we have better things to worry about, that was the moment everything switched. Move on? Move on from children being trafficked? Move on from powerful people abusing minors? Move on from elites being protected? I can't move on from that. I won't. The more I look into it, the more it feels like the same pattern. Protect the powerful, cover up the truth, shift focus. If you campaigned on exposing corruption and then dismiss the biggest corruption scandal involving minors in modern history, what conclusion am I supposed to draw? Either you're in on it, you're protecting someone, or you never meant what you said, and that's the betrayal. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. I align more with Republicans because it matched my values more closely. But I'm done pretending there's some moral high ground in either party. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's not left versus right. It's not red versus blue. It's us versus them. They divide us with race-baiting, culture wars, endless outrage cycles while they protect their own, grow their wealth, and tighten control. Meanwhile, regular people fight each other over scraps, and I'm not playing that game anymore. He didn't just disappoint critics. He alienated the people who believed in him the most. I know I'm not the only one who saw that moment and felt the shift. So no, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm officially nothing. I'm never voting again. If this is how the system works, I'm not participating in it again. Your attorney general said if they prosecuted everyone in the files, the system would collapse. Let it collapse. Let it burn with all these sick fucks in it. Rest in peace, MAGA. How many times on X have you guys seen a post exactly like this coming from some giant MAGA account? Someone who claimed to be Trump's biggest supporter. Somebody who claimed to only be out there for the truth. It's a fucking psyop. There are so many of these people out there. The thing is that he's not wrong in his sentiments. It's not left versus right. It's not red versus blue. It is us versus them. But what he's suggesting in this post is not done for your benefit. It's not done to educate people. It is done to try to psyop you into no longer supporting Donald Trump, to being blind to all the things that I try to show everybody in this audience every single day, to make it clear that there are very different things happening from what you are being reported, from what you are hearing on X, from what you're seeing people say, from their retarded, smooth brain takes like this. This is not reality. Part of it's reality, and the best way to lie to people is to wrap it in a little bit of truth. Brian Krasenstein is a political operative who is being paid millions of dollars to go out there and to rile people up. It's so funny. He calls out himself in here, talking about pitting people against each other, using the culture war, et cetera, et cetera. This is exactly what Brian Krasenstein does. Brian Krasenstein laid out his entire playbook right here. And he is somebody on the left. He fully believes in the takedown of America first. He fully believes in taking down Donald Trump. Maybe not because Donald Trump is not aligned with him ideologically. Maybe it's because Brian Krasenstein is simply being paid for it. But the man is a fake. And there are so many other people out there who are just as fake as him. So be careful. Be careful. And this is one of the reasons why I will often tell people to check your emotions. Do not allow yourself to make decisions based upon emotion. Use your logic. Use your discernment. Take a beat. It's okay sometimes to breathe and not to simply allow the latest outrage clickbait to infect your brain with mind worms, because that's exactly what they want. They want everybody here to be operating on pure cortisol and adrenaline. All right, you guys, thank you very, very much for being here. I appreciate all of you. Let me see. I need to say thank you to Sean Joe for the can and the cookie. Abanon17, good to see you, homie. The hunters become the hunted. There you go. Thank you very much. I don't know why I couldn't say it. Let's see what happens. Sean Joe, thank you for the cookie and a can. Redgun51, thank you for the can. Intolerant Leftist, thank you for the can. I have a huge trumpet flower plant, had no idea, beautiful plant, and won't dig it out, but I'm not using it for anything other than its beauty, and a late bloomers love having color in the garden in November, December. Yeah, keep in mind, just like most medicine is based on something that's found in nature. And there is plenty out there in nature that you shouldn't ingest. But that doesn't mean that God didn't put it there for a reason. It didn't put it there so that it can still beautify your world. And even if scopolamine can be extracted from it, there is something else in nature, a reason that God has it there to interact with the world around it. I think there's nothing wrong with having trumpet flowers, which is why I don't explicitly state that's what Jeffrey Epstein is doing. But given the totality of the evidence, knowing what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, and also knowing that oftentimes what he's talking about is not exactly what it appears to be at first, I think it's certainly worth a thought. All right, you guys, I love each and every one of you, and I really appreciate you hanging out with me every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Had a great day. I'm going to go ahead and pass out these gold pills over on Pilled. I want you to please keep in mind the sponsors, the final sponsors of the show. All of my friends, which you can find in the links in the description below, beginning with my good friends over at tamaracgarden.com, where you can use code RP78 to get a discount on their natural American-made products. Everything is sourced locally by the family. Everything is wonderful for you. It is homeopathic remedies that you are really going to appreciate. Personally, I am not real interested in using modern-day pharmaceuticals, and so I love having natural options that I can use. All of their products can be found here. They have a wide selection of things. And again, if you ever come to any of our GART events, Tamarack Garden and the people behind it oftentimes show up, and they're there personally, and they can answer any questions for you. They're also very attentive. So if you have any questions and you want to email them about it, you can also do that. They do consultations as well if you have questions, or you maybe want to learn how you can live healthier yourself and do it more naturally. Also, my friends over at onenessdrops.com/redpill78, where you can get your chlorine dioxide water purification kits. They have multiple formulations, but when you combine them through the miracle of chemistry, they will create chlorine dioxide, clean, safe drinking water, and it's good for a whole bunch of other things. They also have mullein extract for lung health, soursop extract for cellular regeneration. They have hydrochloric acid drops for your stomach health as well. And we've talked about all of that, but definitely give them a look. You'll get 15% off when you use my link. Link, again, is in the description. Also, mypillow.com. When you use code RP78, you will save up to 80% off of Mike Lindell's American-made products, whether it's the mattresses or the mattress toppers or the MyPillows or the Giza Dream Sheets or the towels or the slippers. They have so many different things for your bedroom and for your home. And, of course, you'll also support Mike Lindell's efforts to run and become the next governor of the state of Minnesota. And my friend Jordan Sather over at ConsciousStrength.net. Use code RP78 to save 10% off of his American-made products as well. This is where I get my Methylene Blue. Methylene Blue is a nootropic, and it is a neurostimulant. It produces new neuron growth in your brain. It keeps me sharp. I use it every single day, and I'm a big fan of it. And then finally, my friends over at rncstore.com/RP78, you'll get 10% off their B17, Laetrile, apricot seed products. They also have apricot oil. Just take a look in the description below and see all of the different sponsors that we have. When you use them for products that you may be using already, a small portion of those purchases go to benefit the show. And I appreciate you not only supporting me, but also supporting American-made businesses, people who actually watch the show and are interested in continuing the mission of truth, justice, and saving America one mind at a time. Let me see. I think we have maybe one final thank you over here. Mayeska says, Michigan Yeska. Thanks, Zach. Michigan Yeska. All right. Michigan Yeska. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Good luck. God bless. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace. Oh, yes, please don't forget to hit that like button. That would help out big time too. And I'm going to set up a raid. Let me see who's live right now among my friends. Oh, yes. I'll send you guys to Brad and Abby. How's that? Make sure you say hello to Brad and Abby for me. Tell them that I love them. And I know you're going to enjoy the show. Brad and Abby, obviously, very old friends of mine. Love those people. My Alaska homesteaders. Brad and Abby live coming up right now. Oh, thank you for the $1 in USDT. Yafune Kenizi. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.